2025 marks 100 years since a tiny Tennessee town became the epicenter of what was then called the trial of the century. Dayton, Tennessee, which is just about 2 hours from Knoxville, was the site of the Scopes trial, known in popular culture as the Scopes monkey trial. Officially, it was the state of Tennessee versus John Scopes. It pitted two of the most famous lawyers in America against each other about the right for teachers to teach evolution in the classroom. 100 years later, the town that saw the drama of the trial play out is honoring its role in American history. From the outside, the old Ray County Courthouse towers silently over the sleepy town of Dayton.
Well, I think you're sitting in living history.
But 100 years ago, this same building was a frenzy of activity as a first-of-its-kind trial played out there.
I think if you sit in here silently and close your eyes, sometimes you can actually hear the words of Brian and Darrow still bouncing off the walls.
Rick Dye is the president of the Ray Heritage Preservation Foundation and shares the story of how the town of Dayton hosted one of the most famous or infamous trials in history, the Scopes trial.
The Battle of the Titans, the Clash of the Titans, is why this is referred to as the world's most famous trial.
In 1925, a plan was hatched inside a drugstore in downtown Dayton to put substitute high school teacher John Scopes on trial for violating the newly passed Butler Act, which prohibited the teaching of Darwin's theory of evolution. Dubbed the trial of the century, it brought in two legal greats. Former presidential candidate William Jennings Bryan, a fundamental Christian who represented the state, and famed attorney Clarence Darrow, who represented Scopes. Jury selection began on July 10th, and for 11 days, passionate debates were made by both sides. And on July 21st, 1925, Scopes was convicted and fined $100.
Many people try to boil it down to the simple argument of creation versus evolution, or very simply, did God create man, or did man create God? That's the very broad debate that took place in here. But the reason it's alive today is the actual arguments that took place on a day-to-day basis are still unsettled today.
Today, the town is honoring its unique history with a series of events this month, including a reading of the actual trial transcript in the very courtroom where it played out all those years ago. Tom Davis helped to coordinate the events.
I want people in Dayton to be proud of our town and share that with people, because again, you don't have to live in New York or Washington or Nashville or Knoxville for big things to happen.
For Rick Dye, the centennial performance of the trial is a chance to put people back in a courtroom where 100 years ago, history was made.
So we're still having those core arguments today, 100 years later. They're not settled. The passions are just as strong today, and that's what keeps this trial alive.
The Tennessee Supreme Court overturned Scopes' conviction on a technicality, but the impact of that trial led to debate about science, religion, and education still going on today. After the trial, the Butler Act was repealed in 1967. Today, the courthouse is a museum honoring the history of the Scopes trial, and this weekend, the Ray Heritage and Scopes Trial Museum will honor the history. There is the Heritage Days on the courthouse lawn. That's happening from 10 a.m. to 2. There also will be sold-out dramatizations of the Scopes trial in the same courtroom where that trial took place, along with tours of a cemetery where many notable names from that trial are buried. And other events include a symposium and dinner with the cast. Those will happen later this month. You can visit the Ray Heritage website to learn more about this.